Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am here with the YouTube earnings update for, what month are we in? December, for the first 2 weeks of December 2017. I will be comparing with the stats from the first 2 weeks of November 2017, and it's a sucky month. Let's just get that out there right now. I have made some changes. Hang on, I've got to blow my nose. I'm a little over 2 weeks into a cold that is getting better, but I still have a lot of sniffles and watery eyes and all that stuff, coughing still, but I am feeling actually better, like I have more energy. That's good. Okay, back to the earnings update. I am going to, throughout this video, talk a little bit about things that I have done differently. Obviously, some of the things I've done are apparent, like cut down on the number of videos that I record, so the stats will tell a lot about as to why I'm earning less and less. And I will talk a little bit about the limited ads issue with YouTube, and I'm even going to touch on Patreon. Not a lot, but just to let you guys know, like, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And I will also cover a little bit of the Patreon fiasco we just went through a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, around there, where they were going to have patrons pay the fees and not the creators, and how they switched back. So let's just get into this because there's a lot to talk about. I am looking, as I said, for the first 2 weeks of December 2017, I uploaded, and I had to do a double and triple take on this, 9 videos. 9. I looked back at all my stats, and I'm usually in the 20 range, 22, 23 for just the first 2 weeks of all the months. But I did 9. That's just for my main YouTube channel. I did also upload 6 for patrons only on Patreon. So it's a total of 15, and even that is lower than in the 20s, but only 9 on my regular YouTube channel. And I have to tell you, I'm actually proud of myself about that, because I do want very much to cut back on the number of videos, and I want to record smarter, not record more. But first, I just want to get used to recording less. I'm not putting much thought into changes I'm going to make on my channel just yet. Still got a lot of things going on. I still, don't feel good. I still have a lot of personal stuff I have to take care of. So I want to try to spend some time on those things. But I do need a plan for my channel to try to work smarter. Less videos, but more watch time. Just trying to be fussy about what kind of videos I put on my channel. Try to find things that can get a lot of watch time, stuff like that. So, I am very glad that I have been able to cut back on videos. It was very hard. It still is very hard. Every day that I don't record, I feel like, I just feel like I'm choking. It's like, oh my God, I have to do this, but I've been forcing myself not to. And eventually, I will probably get used to that, I hope. Subscribers. And in November, I uploaded a total of 24 for YouTube and 6 for Patreon. 6? Oh yeah, that was just for the first 2 weeks. Okay, subscribers are constantly going down for me. For the first 2 weeks of December, I got 540 net subscribers. For November, it was 655. But this is down by a lot from, the previous months. Views, 111,469 as opposed to 117,000, 174,845. Watch time is 778,590 minutes. For November, it was 1,192,401. My retention is 43%, and it was 44% for the first 2 weeks of November, so we're about the same there. Gender remains pretty much the same all the time, 16% boys, 84% girls. My shares are down, only 391 shares. Obviously, less videos means less shares, less things to share. and that was 814 shares for the first 2 weeks of November. My end screen is 2.51% of the elements that appear on my end screen actually got clicked, and that is down from 2.58%. My traffic suggested videos is 54%. That's what it was for first 2 weeks of November also. And browse feature is 20%, and it was 22% last time. My videos appear in 1,471 playlists. That's down. It was 2,513. And my revenue is down. For the first 2 weeks of November, I was at $486.88, and I'm at $400.29. So you can see I'm down by a lot. You can also see that I did a lot less videos, nine videos. And again, about the limited ads thingy, I still am getting yellow dollar signs on almost every single video. But now what's happening is it's not happening right away, and sometimes not even in the first 24 hours. It's happening like 2 or 3 days later. And if I forget to look, it can be 2 or 3 days before I even request the review. And do remember, this has nothing to do with words in the title, keywords, all that stuff. It's just some weird algorithm thing. This is happening to creators across the board, and the only thing we can do about it is continue to manually request the review. Every one of my videos has always passed the review without changing a thing. So I know there are people that say, oh, it's because you had God in the title. It has nothing to do with that. I don't change anything, and they all go through. But especially now that I haven't been recording every single day, I forget to go look at that. So that still sucks big time that I have days where I have limited ads. With that said, even though I have some with limited ads, I have had ads appear. Ads are limited. They're not gone. These videos are not demonetized. I know so many people are using that term, demonetized. There is such a thing as demonetized videos. It's a gray dollar sign with a line through it, not yellow. Yellow is limited ads. You can earn. You do still earn with YouTube Red, but as long as there are advertisers that are willing to just put their ads on anyone's video, you can still earn, and I have. But it's still a downer because you have to remember to go look about that review. I wish they would send an email or something, but can you imagine how many emails they'd be sending out? Because this is happening to most everyone. At least from the content creators I know, excuse me. Probably people who upload once a month, I don't know. I don't know if they're getting hit by this or not, but it's very widespread. Does seem to be getting a little bit better though, I think. I don't know. Well, maybe not, because I just feel like I haven't had as many yellows. That's because I haven't had as many videos. So, just keeping an eye on it. Before I do the countries, I'm going to talk about Patreon for a little bit. Do remember that I am putting some focus on Patreon now. I do earn money there. Right now I'm over $600 per month. I get about 75% of that after the fact. So that does beef up my earnings. However, I don't count it as my YouTube earnings, like for the goals that I set for YouTube and stuff. That's separate, but I am focusing there too, and I want to just let you guys know, in case some of you heard what was going on and don't know how it has been fixed back to normal. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just ignore me for the most part. But Patreon, I pay the fees on Patreon. That's why I get about 75%. There are fees involved in processing credit cards, PayPal, all that stuff. Patreon gets 5%, and then the rest is all because of credit card processing and what that entails. So I have been on Patreon since the middle of October. Half a month of October and then all of November. I paid the fees, and that, you know, comes out of the earnings. I was fine with that. I even do updates for them like I do here. I do that for the patrons so they can understand how it all works. And then midway through December, Patreon announced that they were going to now stop charging the creators the fees and start charging the patrons the fees. And I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Because that makes no sense. Can you imagine all of a sudden telling patrons, yeah, thank you for pledging to your favorite creators, and now we're going to start charging you 35 cents per pledge plus 2.9% of the pledge amount. And of course that did not go over well, not only with patrons. Patrons were leaving Patreon so fast, but creators didn't like it either because patrons were leaving so fast. So I thought it was a bad idea. I went into this knowing the fees were going to come out of my cut. I was good with that. I knew that it was making patrons leave. I lost a lot of patrons. It made for a very sucky December. But in the back of my head, I was like, okay, once this blows over, because I don't want to bash Patreon. If I bash Patreon, I have no business doing business with them. And there are so many people who bash the platforms that they're on. And it's like, how can you do that? How can you bash something and continue to be there? I don't understand that mentality. If you don't like the platform, the way they're running things, you know, the platform that you're on, you need to just leave it, because you're never going to have a good relationship if you hate the platform you're on. It's just not going to work. It's hard enough to make things work when you are happy with the platform. I can dislike certain decisions that a platform makes, but I do not dislike the effort, the platform. If I get to the point that I think this platform sucks, I'm going to be off it. So I'm not bashing them, but I am saying that I did not particularly care for the fact that they made this change without consulting creators or patrons. They certainly didn't consult creators, because I would have said right away, this is going to make us lose patrons. But I knew that in the long run, after, you know, the dust cleared, that new patrons would only know the new way, and it would have been fine, and it would have been cool to collect 95% of the pledges, but I knew that it was just probably not going to sit well, and it's very hard enough to get people on board with Patreon to become a patron, and to say now you're also going to pay a fee when people don't even like to pay $1, because it's the principle of the thing. They feel like, oh, now she's selling her videos. It's not like that at all. It's that I offer something else, a paid service. People can join or not, but it is hard to get people to join, and adding a fee to that wasn't going to help. After about 3 or 4 days of pure turmoil, Patreon decided, oops, I think we made a mistake, and we're not going to have the patrons pay the fees after all, so it goes back on to the creator. Fine and dandy, but again, what I didn't care for is that Patreon put it out there. Creators like me were trying to explain to their patrons what this meant. I was doing math for people, letting them know this is what your pledge is now going to be. And, you know, and so many left. The more we talked about it, the more people left, the more they knew about it. It would have almost been better for me to say nothing, because some would have never known, and they would have never knew that there was going to be a change and that the change went away. That would have been the better way to do it, but obviously we all thought things were changing, so I explained to my patrons and lost a ton of them, and then poof, it's gone back. Now what I think would have been nice for Patreon to do would have been to say, since we, you know, went there and then bounced back, to me they should still not charge the patrons. They should eat the fees for December, because of the way that I was explaining it to people and educating people and telling people, if you're not comfortable with this, leave. So many patrons left. Now my earnings dropped drastically for the month of December because of what Patreon said, and then Patreon changes their mind. So not only did I lose the big chunk of pledges, but I'm still paying the fees. So I think it would be very nice if Patreon said, you know what, we screwed up and we're gonna eat the fees. Still pay the creators 95% instead of 75%. Don't charge the patrons, eat the fees for December, and then let's just go back to the normal after. But that's never going to happen. Gotta blow my nose again. Hold on. And I'm sure you totally appreciate the step-by-step as to what I'm doing. Blowing my nose, coughing. If I pee, I'll let you know. All right. So, if you have been considering being one of my patrons, rest assured you're not paying the fee. If you are considering joining Patreon, I still highly recommend them because, you know, they're doing, I think, the best that they can. It's got to be hard to run a gig like that, and it's a pretty cool platform. I wish they would do a little bit more as a way to advertise their platform, but I don't know. It's still fairly new. I'm just going with the flow at this point. Okay, let's talk about the countries. Oh, and before I read the countries to you, you know how sometimes there's like more countries listed than there are actually in the world? So I was always looking at under the analytics. I might as well go there. Hang on, I'm doing something. Okay, 9 minutes? Gonna have to plug in. What I've been doing in the past is when I look up the countries, I usually go to analytics, overview, and then I click on geography on that page, and that's where it comes up with a whole shitload of countries. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to analytics, demographics, and I'm looking at the countries there, and it makes a little bit more sense. This is telling me that I have a total of 74 countries that watched me so far this month, as opposed to like 192 if I go on the other page. I don't understand the difference. I'm not going to sort through, but I'm going with this, and I'm going to go with this moving forward. So 74 countries watched me this month. My top 3 are still the same: US, UK, Canada. US has 71% of the watch time. UK, 8%. Canada, 6.6%. Australia, 2.6%. India, 1.2%. Germany, 0.6%. South Africa, 0.6%. Russia, 0.6%. Sweden, 0.6%. And Malaysia, 0.5%. My bottom 5 countries were, and it's weird. Okay, let me go look at those. Now, every now and then in the countries, at the very bottom, I will see unknown region, and it's like a fraction of a second watched. So I don't usually include that. But this time, unknown region is 3rd from last, so I'm including it, and I don't really know. Well, there's a little question mark. Let's see what it says. We have no information about the geographic origin, so it's just somewhere, and they don't know where. Okay, so my 5 bottom countries are 5th from last, Lebanon. We have Lebanon, Maine here, and that's how I pronounce it, but I think it's Lebanon for the country. 4th from last, Nepal. 3rd from last is unknown region, and they actually watched 105 minutes worth of my videos. The others were 173 minutes, 131 minutes. 4th from last, and I'm not going to listen to any pronunciations. I'm going to wing it. Kyrgyzstan. How'd I do? Kyrgyzstan? Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. And I got 60 minutes of watch time from that country. And then bottom place with 59 minutes of watch time, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm going with that. Now for my states. My top 5 states are California with 8.3% of the watch time, Texas 7.2%, Florida 6.1%, Ohio 4.4%, Georgia 4.2%, and Maine is in 12th place, not in my top 5 like it was at the end of November. And my bottom 5 states are 5th from last, South Dakota, Delaware, Wyoming, Alaska, and Vermont, and they all got 0.3% or less of watch time. So that is what I have for you. Let's go on to my computer and we'll look at the silly stats. You can see that we are looking at December 1st through the 15th, 2017. Also shows that here. And there's the earnings, $400.29. And that's what it looks like. Terrible. My highest was $33 and change, and my lowest, geez, in the 20s, low 20s, looks like $21.89. So, you know, not too much I can do about that. I'm going to go down and show you the videos that have earned. And this is, you know, really what's hurting me is that I don't have anything that spiked like I have had in the past. Where is the one with the glass pendant? See, this was my big earner at one time, and now it's not doing squat. So I'll just pause. You can study this. And there is the bottom. Pause if you want to study it. And there's really nothing else I can think of to show you right now, so let's just go back to the camera. Changed cameras. I did want to mention that I had the majority of my comments turned off for, well, geez, since I was in Memphis, which was the end of November, I turned them off, all the videos, and then when I started recording when I got home, I let those videos have comments on them, but all the previous ones were turned off. And I just left it like that because it's so peaceful to not have to look and see notifications that there are comments and all that stuff. And I finally turned them on just because I felt like turning them on. I'm going to turn them off and on whenever I feel like it, because you know what? I can do that because it's my channel. And I know it pisses some people off, and I don't understand that. I'm mad that I can't say something to you. Jeez, get a life. Go talk to somebody else. I know it pisses some people off. I don't understand that. I don't know why anybody would be mad at somebody for running their channel the way they want to run it. I just don't get it. So that could have something to do with the earnings, or at least with the fact that I'm not getting any spikes. And you know what? It's a choice I am making. I'm not being stupid and just turning comments off and thinking that's not a big deal. It's probably a very big deal for my channel, but it's more important that I have sanity and that I can relax sometimes and not have to worry about looking at comments and just all of that. I've talked about that enough. I am going to continue turning comments off whenever I feel like it and leaving them off for as long as I want. And when they are on, I will also continue to smack back. If somebody says something that I deem stupid, they're going to get an equally stupid reply. So do continue to read my comments, because I've smacked a couple of people over the past few days. Just ridiculous stuff. And that is a calculated decision also. I have to be true to myself, and if it hurts my channel, I'm only losing the type of viewer who is not my kind of person. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? I've got to surround myself with people who get me, because it doesn't make any sense to be somebody I'm not. So I'm going to end with that. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back at the beginning of January 2018 with a full update for December. And let's see if I can upload still single digits for the next 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I am going to spend time through the rest of this month trying to figure out what direction my channel is going in and my online business. And I do feel like I am creeping more and more toward Patreon, because it seems more secure to me. And, you know, if patrons are willing to pledge because they value what I do, I just feel like that's a little bit more of a security blanket. Even though many left, I understand that. That's okay. I think that more will come on board. Probably try to do more tutorial type things on my channel and leave the crazy shit for patrons. So do consider pledging. It's only $1 a month. I can still say that because they got rid of the fees. And, you know, you get to see a whole lot more videos, more of the stuff that I used to do in the past. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back with more soon. Bye.